Today I'm covering what is emotional intimacy, why you need it, and how to get more of it. I'm couples therapist Dr. Wyatt, and I've been in private practice since 2004. And if you'd like my free PDF on how to rebuild your marriage in 90 days, comment the word guide and I'll send it to you. So the first part I'm going to discuss is what is emotional intimacy. One component of emotional intimacy is being known. John Gottman talks about a love map, where if you go to a city, any major city today, you would never want to go there with an outdated map because cities are always being updated. There's new roads, new bridges, new buildings, and we are the same. Our love map is always changing because we're constantly evolving as people. So what your highs and lows are today is different than a week ago, compared to 2 months ago, compared to 6 months ago. We're always evolving emotionally. And what happens is we get outdated with our partner. We have an outdated love map. We think we know our partner, we think we know what's going on within them, but we really don't. We get outdated. And when you start feeling like your partner doesn't really know you, they really don't know what's going on inside of you, it creates loneliness. You start feeling isolated in your own relationship. So one way to define emotional intimacy is being known. And being known means your partner really knows you. They know the highs and lows, and they're updated on the highs and lows day in and day out. A second component to emotional intimacy is feeling safe. Feeling safe means you feel comfortable sharing what's on your heart, you feel comfortable opening up and being vulnerable, and you know you're not going to be judged. You know you're not going to be lectured. You know you're not going to be fixed, but instead you're going to feel supported, and that creates safety. Safety to open up, safety to really be you, safety to share your true colors. The more you feel safe in a relationship, the more you let your guard down. The more you let your walls down, because all of us want to feel unconditionally loved, and that's a vital component to emotional intimacy. A third piece to emotional intimacy is being understood. When we share about what's going on in our life, when we open up, when we become vulnerable, what do we want? We want our partner to really understand us. We want them to put themselves in our shoes. We want them to see the world through our lens and be able to really get it, to really see why we're feeling what we're feeling. And that creates a feeling of, I'm understood here. You get it. You understand where I'm coming from. You can see things from my perspective. That creates this feeling of, I am understood. Now, why do you need emotional intimacy? The first reason you need it is it's good for you. Research shows that the more you open up and share what's going on in your life instead of bottling it up, the better your mental and physical health. Because when we bottle things up, it's not healthy. It's not good for us. It creates stress, and then we're going to act out in some other way to deal with that stress. So instead, if we can learn to open up and be more transparent and be more authentic about what we're going through day in and day out, that's healthy for you. That's why they say it's healthy to journal, for the same reason. Because when you're journaling, you're getting things out. You're getting it on paper so that it's not stored up. And when you get things out, first of all, it feels better. Second of all, you can think about it differently. It's different when things are stored up in your head compared to when you say it out loud. Just hearing things said out loud will make you look at it differently. So for emotional intimacy, it's not just for your partner, it's actually for you. Learning how to share, learning how to open up. The second reason you need emotional intimacy is because it's probably your partner's top need. Most marriages involve one partner who has a top need of emotional intimacy. So if it's not your natural bent, but it is your partner's, you have your work cut out for you. You have to figure out what that means, how to provide it, what it looks like, because if it's your partner's top need, you need to learn how to do it. You need to learn how to provide it, just like you want them to learn how to provide your top needs. So avoid the posture of, emotional intimacy is not who I naturally am, so I can't provide that for you. That's not gonna fly. If it's a need for your partner, it doesn't matter if it's natural for you or not. What matters is that it's a need for your spouse, so you need to learn how to provide it better than you do. Because learning how to provide your partner's top needs, learning how to improve in them, learning how to sensitively and consistently give it to them is vital for you having a healthy relationship. That's gonna make them feel like they can trust you, and it's gonna motivate them to do the same thing with your top needs. I've been in this situation myself because my wife loves emotional intimacy, and it's not my natural bent. I'm much more left-brained, analytical, problem solver, but she loves to discuss feelings. She wants me to provide empathy. She wants me to share my feelings, And a lot of times I have to really think about what have I been feeling today. I don't live in my emotions. Therefore, I've had to learn how to focus on what have I been feeling today and why have I been feeling those things? And how can I become a more sensitive listener to my spouse instead of just wanting to fix it all the time? I've had to work on this not only because I know it's good for me, but also because I know it's my partner's top need and I want to be a good spouse for her. A third reason why you need emotional intimacy is because it's a prerequisite before physical intimacy. If you're high libido, pay attention. You have to cultivate an environment of emotional intimacy in your relationship to optimize the likelihood of your partner being open to physical intimacy. If your spouse needs emotional intimacy, you can guarantee they are not going to be open to physical intimacy until they feel emotionally connected first. Now, hopefully you're paying attention because you have to put two and two together and realize we are not going to be having physical intimacy in this relationship unless my spouse feels emotionally connected, unless they feel emotionally tight, unless they feel emotionally secure with me. They're not going to be open to the physical. Therefore, we have to be nurturing that emotional intimacy on a daily, weekly, monthly basis so that it becomes the fabric of our relationship. It becomes the culture, it becomes the backdrop, then physical intimacy becomes the events. So now you're probably wondering, how do we get more emotional intimacy? If it's so important and we need it for all these different reasons, how do we get it? How do we get more of it? One way is increase your quality time with your partner. Just spending more time together, undivided attention with your phones off, TVs are off, kids are away, just hanging out together, doing activities together, doing hobbies together. That in and of itself will help you feel closer with your partner, and that will help you feel more emotionally connected as well. Second, increase your sharing. Prioritize quality time where you take turns asking each other what's been on your head and heart today. You want to ask intentionally about your partner's day, their highs, their lows, what have they been feeling? And when they ask you those questions, you have to increase your sharing because emotional intimacy is not developed just from becoming a better listener. It's also developed by becoming a better sharer. And so if you're not used to sharing, if you're not used to opening up, that's going to be a big hurdle for you. So I encourage you to think about it like a garage door. In the beginning, maybe you only raise the garage door to your soul about a foot, and you share just a little bit about what's really going on within you to get comfortable and to see how your partner responds. And hopefully they respond well, and over time you get more comfortable. So then you raise the garage door about 3 feet and you share a little more vulnerability, a little more about the real stuff that you're actually struggling with and feeling in your day-to-day life. And if that goes well, and over time you get more comfortable, you raise the garage door to 6 feet and you become much more transparent and you become much more authentic and real when you do share. Your partner wants you to share, but you're in control of how much you share. And especially if you don't have a background sharing, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. It's going to feel awkward. You're going to feel like a fish out of water. But remember, you're in control, and just slowly, gradually, over time, lift that garage door to your soul so your partner can see more and more inside of you. 3, increase your empathy. You have to become a master of empathizing with your partner. I'm a fixer by nature. And so when my wife vents about her day and she's sharing her highs and lows, all I want to do is tell her what to do. I have 15 ideas in my head of how she can solve those problems. And I used to do that, and she would get irritated. And the reason people get irritated when you offer solutions is because when someone is venting, they're coming to you from their heart. And if you provide solutions, you're coming at them with your head. And that's why it's a mismatch. So when your partner is venting to you and they're coming from their heart, you need to meet them in their heart. And the way you do that is through empathy. Some of the best empathy statements are, I can see how X would make you feel Y. Or it makes sense that X would make you feel Y. Or no wonder you feel blank. Or that sounds blank. Those are some of the best empathy statements. And empathy creates this atmosphere of I have your back, I'm here for you, no one's gonna judge you, no one's gonna fix you, keep going. That's the atmosphere you wanna create for your partner when they're sharing about their day. And also, think about empathy as a math problem. So when you're listening to your partner vent from the day, be listening for 2 things. The first thing is what is coming out of their mouth. The second thing is who is this person speaking to me? What have they been through in life? What are their scars? What are their insecurities? What are their traumas? What are their needs? What are their values? When you're thinking about not only what they're saying, but also who is this person speaking to me and what have they been through, you'll start connecting the dots, and then empathy becomes a math problem. For example, let's say your partner is sharing about a conflict they had with a friend and how upsetting it is for them. And you're thinking, why is it so upsetting for them? It wouldn't bother me that much. But then you remember, growing up, your partner didn't have many friends and they were lonely. So they really value their friendships now. So if there's a conflict, it makes them feel anxious because they're worried to lose that relationship. So you're making this math connection. You're putting two and two together in your mind, and that allows you to understand why they're feeling what they're feeling, which allows you to respond with, it makes sense that conflict with your friend would be making you feel so anxious. You can say things like that even if you wouldn't personally feel the same, because you're seeing it from their lens. If you find yourself struggling to understand why your partner is feeling certain things, that's because you're seeing it from your vantage point. You haven't gotten into your partner's shoes yet and tried to see the situation from their lens based on who they are. Once you do that, it will start to make sense to you. And when that occurs, you can start providing empathy, whether you would feel the same thing or not. Now, when you are empathizing, make sure you don't say, I understand. That's what a lot of people want to say, but it's a mistake because your partner may respond and say, no, you don't. So don't respond by saying, I understand. That's a mistake. Also, be careful with the tendency to want to bring it back on yourself, to want to share a related story by saying things like, oh, that reminds me of something I went through. Let me tell you about it. When you do that, you're hijacking the conversation and making it about you. So instead, keep the focus on your partner, respond with empathy primarily, and then here and there, ask them some open-ended questions, starting with what or how. What was most significant for you about that? Or what was hardest for you about that? Or how did you make it through that? Also, make note of what your partner shares with you when you're asking them about their highs and lows, and then the next day, follow up. So if they share about a fight they had with a friend, the next day, send them a text. Hey, any updates on that fight with your friend? Or if they share their stress about an upcoming deadline with their work, follow up with them about that the next day. Hey, any updates about that deadline with your job? When you follow up with your partner, it's going to make them feel like you care because you're tracking their life. And when you put that together, where your partner is asking you questions about your life, you're sharing, and they're responding with empathy, and then your partner is following up with you the next day to see if there's any updates, that's going to make you feel known and cared for. And that's the key to emotional intimacy. So what is emotional intimacy? It's being known, it's being safe, and it's being understood. Why do you need emotional intimacy? You need it for yourself because it's cathartic and healthy to get things out. 2, it's probably a top need for your partner. And 3, it's a prerequisite before physical intimacy can occur. And how do you get more of it? Number 1, increase your quality time together. Number 2, increase your sharing. And number 3, increase your empathy in response to your partner sharing their highs and lows. If you'd like to get my free PDF on how to rebuild your marriage in 90 days, comment the word guide in the comments and I'll send it to you. If you found value in this video, be sure to like it, subscribe to my channel, and share it with one other person. Maybe send it to a family member, a colleague, a friend that you think could benefit from this to pay it forward. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to watch this one next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.